Hi there, everybody. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 24 of The Hard Truth, Inside the Football Industry podcast with me, Philip Heighton, and Darragh MacAnthony, Chairman and co-owner of English Championship side, Peterborough United, and we're here face-to-face in person. First time in, I don't know, a year we were saying before.
It's like a high five. You haven't seen each other. So we're in my new office, so it's better to be in an office environment. And it's nice to actually be together. So obviously we've done so many remote.
Right.
It must be 15 months since we did one together. So I guess with everything going on, it's probably best to be together in a little studio.
I know, it's been a busy week.
Is everything working now? The camera's working? Your sound is good?
Well, Henry will tell me otherwise, I'm sure, afterwards, at which point it'll be too late. We've tried to minimise the bings and the beeps. So
phones are on silent, computers on silent.
Yeah.
Right. Well, listen, lots to get through. So where do we start?
Let's start with the Super Bowl.
Yeah, enjoyed that last. I knew the lib and you'd be all about California and Los Angeles.
Yeah, I mean, there was that for sure, and also Matt Stafford. You know, I mean, he went through so much with the Lions, and the Lions
his wife with the brain surgery.
Yeah, I mean, we wasted him.
You did. Look, you did, but you know the Rams have gone all in, and I, to be an Arsenal fan last night watching the Cronkies.
I was thinking that as well.
Cronky Junior and Cronky Senior. It's a bit like last year with the Glazers, who own United. They won the Super Bowl at their home ground, and I'm telling my kids about that stadium last night, $5 billion stadium. I mean, I don't know how you spent $5 billion, but it's bigger than Disneyland apparently. And look, it was a good game. I like Joey Burrows. You know, he's got a bit of Brady in him for me. But with an O-line like that, he was always going to get fucking killed. I think it was like hit 9 times sack-wise. And in the end, the Rams got it. They went all in with the players they signed. Fair play. And good for Los Angeles. Of course, I'm watching it going, all your heroes, your Mayor Garcetti and Gavin Newsom all there. And, you know, not in masks. None of the celebs are in masks. But every child in California this morning will be in a cloth mask.
And, you know, I am sad for Cincinnati.
He skipped over that quickly.
I know, right? Well, I mean, I can't argue it.
No, it's the truth. It's just, that's the only thing that pissed me off. But I love the halftime show, the best halftime show I have seen in years, because some of the bullshit. I was glad there was no politics. I was glad there was no shite. You know, okay, Eminem took his knee or whatever else, fine. You know what I mean? But I thought the whole show, seeing some of those people, you know, the songs from like 15, 20 years ago or even longer, it was like, I love the set. I love the whole thing, the razzle dazzle. Look, the Bengals, it was always going to be a tough ask. And, you know, you got players like you saw in the second half, Aaron Donald. I mean, English people don't understand. I was trying to explain to my kids last night, this is like part of your religion here in America. Super Bowl Sunday is massive. You know, you're drinking, you're eating. You know, I was doing that. It's probably I was back on Twitter a little bit last night. You know what I mean? It's like a few beers. And it was a good night. And I said to everyone in my house, we got it, because I've twice had tickets for Super Bowls. Once I was in the UK, and the second time I just got back from the UK and I was fucked. I didn't have the energy to go. So I gave the tickets to family members. So I said, I got to take the family to a Super Bowl. You know?
We were living in Detroit when it was in Detroit,
right?
Which was 2005, 2006, something like that. Absolutely freezing. I've never been. Did
you go?
We didn't go to the Super Bowl because we just couldn't get tickets. But we did all the festivities before.
Yeah. It's a whole week build up.
Yeah, and in LA, Beth was out in LA this week, so there was a lot going on there.
I'd say the atmosphere was like the traffic, the atmosphere there. And don't get me wrong, I mean, it's a stadium that's something like you never see. The whole outside area, the inside, I mean, it is breathtaking.
For what was not the best area.
No, shit area. They've developed it nicely, but $5 billion. You're like, $5 billion? Right. How can you... I can't get my head around that.
They all want to overspend themselves, like they did it with the Cowboys. I can't remember how many
$1 billion, Jerry World, AT&T Stadium.
Now we 5x that.
But me being the finance guy, I'm trying to do the financial logic. How do you pay that back? Like, I know you would have got tax breaks, you would have got, certain money from the government, like California would have made millions this week from people being there, and the NFL lend money as well. That's what I love about the NFL with the ownership group, that when teams build a stadium, they supply financing as well. But, Vegas was $2 billion. I thought, that's too expensive. $5 billion? I mean, fucking hell. I mean, you're just never getting that back, are you? I mean, wow. But anyway, fair play to the Cronkies. Really good game. Enough about American football. I know what our fans listen to this podcast for, and that's for the blood and guts and thunder of football. Peterborough United, Bradford. It's a heartbreak fucking hotel.
Well, given what you've got then, it's been a tough week, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, from last Wednesday, Cardiff, I had to get in a flight to go to New York because I was meeting my partners on the Thursday. You couldn't have picked a more perfect storm of fucking nonsense from the minute that game started to me getting on the flight to meeting my partners in New York the next day to ticket prices being released, all these things happening, and you're just like, where do I start? I mean, where do you want me to start?
So let's start with Cardiff.
Okay. So, again...
And for non-Posh fans, it was a...
Bloodbath.
It was 4-0, wasn't it? And it wasn't.
Yeah,
pretty.
it should have been 10-0. It was just you just knew the first 10 minutes one of our players probably looked punch drunk. I'm not calling anyone out, and I don't want articles written about players because now's not the time to do that. But one of them just had an horrendous 10 minutes where everything went wrong, and just from that point on, it just led to it wasn't good. It wasn't good, and I don't know what was worse. Watching it and then having to listen to the commentary team. You were listening to the game. And, people think I'm having a dig. Look, I get it. When your football team's not doing well, when you're not winning football games, you're not having shots on goal, you're not scoring goals, when you're down and dirty and everything's against you, of course the media, as much as they're there praising you when you're doing well, they're really going to dig in when you're not doing well. And, listening to club legends, who are commentating, asking for the manager to be sacked, slaughtering the recruitment. Yeah. Doesn't feel good.
They were sticking the knife in, and I watched it.
I didn't say that, you said that.
Yeah, I watched it on Posh Plus.
Okay.
And
is that what you thought when you heard it?
When I heard it, I thought I have to ask you, privately or publicly, how does it feel to hear that? Because you can't just ignore it as much as you want to ignore it.
It's tough, yeah, I mean, it's going to happen, I guess, between them. You've obviously got Alan who listens to the podcast and puts a lot out there. There's not a lot of positive stuff he can put out, so he'll just retweet some of the negative stuff. Sam Edwards, who used to commentate, loves a statistic. Unfortunately, the stats he loves putting up at the moment are just, again, don't make you feel warm and fuzzy. But look, he's entitled to do that. That's what they'll do. Hopefully, when we start winning again, they'll come out of it. And I guess it's up to us to get everyone out of it, So it's very difficult. It feels like everyone's against you.
Yeah.
I hate hearing anyone asking for a manager to be fired that works in the media. I always feel a bit... I don't know if that's the right thing, but I guess they'll say, well, it's our job. I'm always a bit like, it's kind of like you should never ask for someone to be sacked.
Yeah.
Then I'm listening to one commentator on Saturday talking about a player's past to do with animals, and I'm thinking, what are you bringing this up for in a game? We're trying to be together, we're trying our best, we're fighting, and you're bringing stuff up from what someone did 10 years ago that I had no idea about. And again, I'm thinking, what's the agenda here? It's tough at the moment, and look, doing what we did against Cardiff doesn't make it easy, and it was a bad evening, and I felt for the manager so badly. And the worst part was I couldn't talk to him because the minute the game was over, I'm in a car going to the airport. I'm on a flight to New York. I land in New York. It's probably 4 a.m. English time. So I had a meeting the next day at 9, and it was a real planned day. The plan always was we were talking a lot of football stuff, a lot of other stuff, and then we were meant to have a Zoom call with our CEO about finalising the approval on ticket prices, the FA Cup, and all of that kind of stuff. So I've gone for a coffee before the meeting at 9. I've gone to Starbucks at about 8 because I want to ring the manager. I want to see how he is. That's my first responsibility, is to check in on him. So I'm ringing him, seeing what he's like. That's a tough conversation. He's up most of the night anyway. Then I'm ringing Barry. I'm like, you've been in the game 50 years. You need to get around the manager, get around the staff. You've got young staff there. Yeah, you got to use your experience. You're nearly 80. You're full of life. You got to help. And then obviously I'm making calls. And then obviously I go into the meeting. See how my partners are. It's tough for them. I really, really feel for them because they've been nothing but great. And then obviously when the going gets tough, I obviously take a lot of the hammering. Yeah. But they're getting hammered because they'll pop their head up on social media, and I almost not.
They want to engage because they want to be visible.
I wince when I see it because I'm like, guys, stay off there for a while. I don't want you getting the brunt of this. Yeah. I'm happy to take the brunt of it, and I have been taking the brunt of it. So that's okay because I've been around 15, 16 years, so it's normal. But I'm almost like protective of them because they really, really don't deserve it. So I'm checking on them, and then I'm like, what do you want to do, guys? Do you want to have a chat with the manager, have a Zoom call? They're like, yeah, we'll Zoom with the manager. So we Zoom with the gaffer, and a really, really productive call. Because at that point, when something like Cardiff happens, it's almost rock bottom. You're saying to the gaffer, look, where are you at with it all? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on last night? What are your thoughts on Saturday? What are your thoughts on the week ahead? And the manager handled himself really well. Of course he's down, of course, and he'd be the first one to probably say, he probably had dark thoughts during the night about, well, forget about, am I getting fired? Will I just walk?
Yeah.
Because he's getting battered as well, and then he's watching his team do that. So, and it was a really, really, almost therapeutic conversation between all of us about, look, You know, we've had the absolute shit kicked out of us. A lot of it deserved. Some of it not so much. You know, what are we doing? What's the game plan? So we talked through that. Then my phone's blowing up, and it was a message from a friend of mine, and my phone was like, my God, you're getting hammered over these prices. And I'm like, prices? What prices? Because God's honest truth, and this is on my children. And again, I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, and some think it's all, but I, nor had my partners, seen one price for the FA Cup game. This wasn't, you know, whatever way it happened, whatever way it went out, none of it was planned. And if you honestly think I or anyone else would have approved pricing going out 9 hours after losing 4-0 to Cardiff the way we lost, you must think I'm a sadomasochist. Never the intention. So complete miscommunication. Again, I'll take responsibility for miscommunication because a football club shouldn't have that. So then you're just, you hang on, you're going, right, what's going on here? What are we doing? And myself and the partners reacted very quickly and said, look, we spoke to CEO, spoke to the club, said, look, this is a mistake. We have to take that off. We've got to contact Man City. You know, can we now finally look at this properly? Let's get it right, and we'll redo it. Look, everyone at our club, our fans understand we have to make money from a cup run. This is really, really important. You know, I mean, you very rarely get to make any money from the FA Cup. So when you do, it's not about abusing your fans, but it's about, you know, that game will sell out five times over.
Especially with prize money, they cut all the prize money as well.
The prize money all got cut. TV money, prize money, the whole lot. And you're not getting a replay, and you're not beating Man City, dare I say. So this is as good as it gets to help with your cash flow deficits. And, you know, it's been a tough season, and it's been a tough couple of years. So, you know, we agreed, look, we need to slice this, and slice this. That's what is the agreement. Let's do it that way. To be fair to our CEO, I like him because he's a reactive guy. You know, he's only new, he's on the job. He wants to be the CEO who does stuff without always having to come to us. In other words, we've got enough on our plate. He wants to take responsibility. So he fixed it, jumped on it, dealt with it. That's what you want from a CEO, somebody who's reactive and proactive very quickly, and who can take it when he needs to take it, like obviously over what happened. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of that on the phone, you know? So that was all fine. I have respect for David who's doing that job. He's brand new to the job. He's in it 6 weeks, 7 weeks. You know, again, tough. He's coming into a football club that's not winning football games. You know, suddenly there's a chance now in the cup to you know, make some money, do really well out of the cup, have a bit of romanticism around the city. You're on TV. It was just, I don't know, from Wednesday to Saturday full time was just a complete fucking melee of shite for a few days. Because then you get to Saturday, and I understood what the manager was doing. He was trying to pick a team that would fight. He was trying to pick a team that would look like they were in the game. They want to win the game, but, you know, we're fighting for the badge, fighting for the league position to stay in the league, fighting for him, fighting for us. And whilst Preston had lots of possession, they didn't lay a glove on us. God's honest truth. Anyone watching that as a neutral, and fair play to our fans, because with all the toxicity and the messages, and I always say that's very limited to a younger bunch of fans. Very few of the older fans are gone that way. The stadium is they wanted to get behind the players. They stayed with the players, and we had the best 5-6 chances. I could go through. I watched the game back again this morning. We had the best chances in the game. We've missed. If that was last year against any team in League One, we win the game 4-0. The game's over. And unfortunately, when luck's going against you, you get a kick in the bollocks. You just kept getting kicked in the other bollocks, the left one to the right one. And then Preston in the 82nd minute, just after we've hit the bar, go down, one chance, one goal. Player we obviously tried to sign for months. That's how football works. And at that stage, it's like, here we go again. You know, and in fairness, our fans stayed with the players. You know, I'm sure maybe there was some booing, there was some whatever else, but they, you know, fair play. And it's a really, really tough place to be. And I feel for the manager, and I feel for my partners, because it's not nice when the fans are at you, the media are at you, and of course you bring a lot of that on yourself. And so much of it's directed at me, obviously. And that's okay. I've got broad shoulders. I spoke to my partners about that. You know, I said, look, you know, I'll hold my hands up. You know, is the recruitment wrong? Okay, it must be. Because if we're not digging ourselves out of it, we're not winning games, okay, I got all the recruitment wrong, put it on me. It's not a problem. I'll do that. I'll take that. I want to protect the manager, you know, and that's not his fault. You know, we as a club recruit, he's part of the process. Of course he is. I'm not throwing him under the bus in any way. There's me, there's him, and there's Barry.
Yep.
There's a way we recruit as a club. I still believe in it, but I think lots of people don't believe in it anymore. And I've always said when people stop believing in me or in something, well, then it's time to get off the train. So I said to my partners, we don't know what the future holds from now till the summer. As a responsible person in the game, I'll always plan for plan A and plan B.
Yeah.
Plan A is always stay in the league, grow. Plan B is not something you really want to look at. It's League One life. So I have to do both. And Wednesday against Reading will tell us a lot of which plan I have to look at executing and dig into. Why have I been so vociferous in support behind the manager, and why have my partners? Because this is a guy who's been our best manager for a long time. He bleeds the club. He knows everything about how we operate. He's in tune with our academy, our coaches, all the way through. The staff he now has are all academy-based staff.
Yeah.
We've spent a lot of money and a lot of energy on our academy, the dome. Everything that we're trying to do is to do things right. We haven't been reckless in our taking on the league. I know people want to put out their comparisons. I saw something about Luton and about all these clubs and whatever else, and I think it was Alan Swan did the Luton one. Fair play to Adrian Durham. He made the point, well, Luton stayed up by the skin of their teeth in the first season, so hang on. And then you got someone else puts up a chart of Luton's rise the last 10 years. I love Luton. I think they're a great club. I love Mick Harford. And I like the people behind the scenes. Gary Sweet, great CEO. And they've always run a really, really well run football club. And I was looking at this tweet from one of our... Some reason on my social media thread, I'm getting loads of Posh fans I don't follow keep showing up. And it's almost driving me demented. Like, I don't follow these people.
There's some algorithm there.
But some algorithm on Twitter is fucking basically punishing me like you wouldn't believe. Like, every time I open Twitter, there's 3-4 more... And it's these,
you clicked on a nasty message and now Twitter's saying, we need to send you more of those.
And the thing is, I didn't click on any nasty messages because I've kind of been like, you know, off my own fucking mind, I've been staying away from that because I need to be focused and concentrated and protect the manager, protect everyone at the club. But it keeps showing up this stuff, and you know, there's one guy called Gareth, he keeps showing up on my timeline like 9-10 times, and usually he's quite funny, you know, whenever his stuff's popped up in the past, you know, and obviously he's turned, and look, fair enough, you know, that's your prerogative as a paying fan. If you don't want the manager, you don't want the manager. I can't stop the way you think, and I'm not going to insult you either. You keep coming at me on my thing saying, fuck off, Darren Ferguson did this. I'm going to go, no, fuck off you, get off my timeline, have your opinion, but stop giving it to me because I'm sick of reading it. But anyway, something's popped up going, this is Luton over the last 10 years. And it was the 3 years in non-league, then it was League 2, then it was League 1.
I saw that too.
Then it was Championship, and I'm going, that's brilliant. I love to see that about a club that doesn't spend silly money, that's really, really responsibly well run. And I'm looking at it going, yeah, that, you know, envious, great, brilliant, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, well, okay, what's our last 10 years? What's our last 10 years as a football club? I think we've spent 3 of the last 10 years in the Championship. I think we won a trophy in one of those years. I think we were in the playoffs in another year. I think we won a promotion in one of those 10 years. And I think we were always pretty much 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th or whatever in League 1. Okay, maybe our chart doesn't go like that, where we're up to 7th in the Championship like Luton are, you know, but our 10 years, you know, you're trying to make out that 10 years is so much more superior than ours, do you know what I mean? And bearing in mind that we were in COVID in League 1. These clubs you're talking about had a lot more bailout money in the champ than we did in League 1. So with all due respect, and they had a lot more TV money to start with when COVID hit. Do you get what I mean? You know, we had £1 million. These clubs had 5 and 6 million. So, and I'm looking at it going, I don't get the comparison because you're trying to make out like their chart is miles better than ours. I don't think it is.
Yeah, they're doing something right.
Yeah, I don't think it is. Can't we just be proud that Luton run a really well-run football club and we try and run a really well football club? Why try and pick things against us, you know? And then you got, I was Alan Swan had said about Luton, and then you got things about Blackpool. Blackpool have done brilliant, really happy for them, you know, well-run football club, good manager, good for them. Coventry the same. But again, over the last 10 years, they've had their share of heartache. Yeah. You know, and I think a couple of those clubs have been in League 2. Yeah. I think it's 16 years since that's happened to us. So, you know, again, sometimes when you're down there, people just want to kick, and they want to make it seem a lot worse than it actually is. You know, who are we as a football club? We have good owners who don't take from the club. We have good owners who put into the club. We always pay our bills and wages on time. We have a philosophy where we want to have young, exciting talent come through. We want to play nice football. Our pitch is a fucking disaster at the moment. That's something obviously I have to fight and deal with. We've got an academy that's going to have so much talent coming out over the next few years. It's going to be really exciting. We're trying to build a crowd base. We're obviously, of course, trying to build it, get over to a new stadium, but we bought our current one. You know, we're in good shape. Yes, the last 5 months has been a fucking horror show, or 6 months. Hasn't been good in the Championship. It's been really ugly. We've had our asses handed to us over and over. I know all the statistics. It's not us. I know the fact that we should be already relegated, bar 2 clubs having 28-point deductions or 50 points. I know all the story. I also know the manager I've got since the last 3.5 years missed out on the playoffs on the final day in his first few months back. I think it was Donny beat Coventry. We beat Burton. The following year, we were on for winning the league title. COVID took it away. The year after that, he drove us to within 2 points of winning our first League 1 title. We did all of that with no income and no money, bar me trying to sell players and bring players in. and gave our fans, you know, a promotion they all wanted and deserved, and all of that. And he did all of that through really tough times. He did so much behind the scenes during COVID about player pay, not reductions, but putting pay down the line and helping the club fiscally. You know, there's so much he did, and then got behind when we wanted to spend the money on the dome and do the academy and bring this. He's done so much, not just on the pitch. And now, after 5.5, 6 months of horror results, I'm meant to just discard him like a turd. And go, well, no, fuck you. Yeah, I know football's a ruthless industry. I know sacking is part of the game. But after being in it 15, 16 years, I'm not agreeing with that anymore. If you'd asked me 8 years ago, I'd be like, all over it. Yeah, he's getting fucking sacked. You know what I mean? And whatever. But I'm not there anymore. Maybe I've gone soft. I don't know. But I'm not going to change who I am. And, you know, maybe I shouldn't, or maybe I should.
Well, you know, you talk about the infrastructure and the culture and everything that's building, of which the first team is obviously the pinnacle of that. And so you're looking, is somebody else going to be able to get us into a better position in the next 10 games?
So I had someone who I know really well, and Posh fans of Everton, they texted me, you know, in January, there's Neil Warnock's number, do the right thing. You know, and I'm going, you know, God knows that my partners would get on with Neil Warnock. You know, with all due respect, you're right, he probably would keep us in the champ. But your Ronnie Edwards, your Harrison Burrows, your Ricky J. Jones, your academy with its investment in the dome, all of those things, is that going to suit that manager? Okay, maybe he'll only do 5 months. Where do you go after that? And that's not a dig. Neil Warnock will probably go into another club and do brilliant because he's a legend of a manager. But styles and types, you know, are what you look at in long term.
Yeah,
and
you're
our
looking
manager,
big picture.
Yeah, we're looking at a big picture. We signed a new contract with a manager because I'd promised him that in the summer. You know, and that was a promise, and I keep my promises. And when we didn't get around to doing it till October because it was on me, we were so busy in the summer, I'd put it off for 2 months, not because of results, because I couldn't. So if I'd welched on that, what kind of person would that make me? And I don't want to be that person in football who's not a man of their word. And any player, ex-player, manager will tell you, I'm a man of my word. When I say I'll do something, I'll do something. So, you know, we gave him a contract because, again, he's the person we believe in. It's not just about the championship. Peterborough United is not just about being a championship club. Of course, we want to be an established one. We want to be successful. But at the same time, there's so much more going on behind the scenes that's really important for our future. And everything's just based on results at the moment. Everyone's just reacting to results. You lose a Cardiff, you lose a Preston, Reading beat us, whatever. And it's just like, that's it. He's got to go. He's got to be fired. Darren Ferguson might make that decision himself, and I don't want him to. But he might. And I don't want him to. And I said to my partners, you know, for me, I'm absolutely still there with them. And to be fair, they've been really supportive as well. They're who I also am gutted for. And I said to them, when we get to the summer, after the season, stay up, don't stay up. If they want me to stop what I'm doing, the recruitment, the football side, I'll not happily do it. But I'm okay with doing that. Yeah, I'm okay with doing that. There's only so much I can take. I'm giving it my all, and I'm doing a lot of travel. I'm away from my family. You know, I don't get paid to do it. I'm an owner. That's why, and that's fine. But you know what? I'll step aside. And if they have better ideas, or the manager has better ideas, or people have better ideas to do at the football club, no problem at all. I'll step off the train. I'll get off. I'll get on the platform, and I'll find something else to do. You know, I've got businesses here now I'm starting and whatever else, you know, I put my energy into them. I'll make a hell of a lot more money than I do in football. So it's not me threatening to leave. It's not me. It's not about that. I'd probably still be an owner of Peterborough. Yeah. So I just won't be involved as regards to the football. And if my partners want to buy me out, I also said to them in New York, I'm like, lads, if you wanted to go alone and do this yourself, and to be fair, I was throwing myself under the bus in a good way for them, because I was like, you're getting a lot of grief you shouldn't be. So throw it all on me. It's not a problem, because you don't deserve this. You've been here for like 4 years and you've done nothing but be supportive financially, mentally, in every which way, and they don't deserve to be getting told how to run their club on Twitter. Fire the manager, do this, do that, blah, 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 blah. Fire D-Mac, get D-Mac out of recruitment. They don't deserve any of that. You know, they're genuine guys. You know, maybe I deserve it. I've been in it 16 years. Of course I'm an egomaniac. Of course I'm front and centre. Of course recruitment's my big thing. So if it's all going wrong, I'll take that. You know, so leave the manager alone, leave them alone. Come for me, not a problem. And I've always said, my thing's always been, if the fans don't want you, you know soon enough. Yeah. You know, and that's just the way football. I'm a big boy. That's football. So my partners have always had the option. That's in our agreement both ways. They can buy me out. Yeah. You know, I said to them, you want me to stay, I'll stay, but I won't do recruitment. You want me to leave, buy me out, we can do that too. And as usual, they're both classy, magnificent guys. They're trying to pick me up and go, no. But they're businessmen. They're not stupid. And they might come to that decision in the summer. Who knows? And that's okay. And I said it last night on Twitter. Someone asked me if that happens, I'll be okay with that.
Yep.
You know, I have an unbelievable ride. I always loved this club. And I'll probably take 6-8 months off, make a shitload of money, and then go and buy another club. Because, you know, I'm young. I'm 46 next month or whatever else. So I'm as disappointed as everyone else, Phil, about how it's going. You know, we've not been at our best. We have let ourselves down, top to bottom. That's not me. Please don't write articles, Alan, about digging out players. I'm not digging out my players. I said it last week. I love them to bits. You know, I don't hate any of them. They're genuinely great guys. They just when things are going against you, they go against you, and you just like it's a constant kick in the nuts. And then I said to my partners in New York, I look at League One and I see Paul Warne at Rotherham, who's been relegated twice or 3 times in the Champ. He's got promoted. Yep. Here he is again doing a phenomenal job at Rotherham, getting them back up. You got Ainsworth at Wickham, relegated, doing a phenomenal job. Yep. Probably going to get them up quite likely. That's football. You can back what you've got. You can be happy with what you've got. You can improve what you've got. You can get behind what you've got. My fear, obviously, is he goes himself.
Yeah. You want to create the environment where he doesn't want to do that.
Exactly. And I think it will hurt our football club for a long time. Yeah. It did last time. People talk about it took us 8 years to get back. Yeah. Part of that was me getting rid of the manager instead of the players last time. You know, it wouldn't have been 8 years if I just cut him some slack and given him a break. And I'm trying to be as supportive to this manager as I can. I'm watching him with getting the flack, the criticism, the newspaper articles, the pundits asking for him to be sacked for this, that, whatever. I'm watching it all going, I worry about him, you know, like how he's taking that. Yeah. Because at the same time, he's trying to then do his job. He's got young staff under him who've never seen this in their life. They're trying to do their job.
He's protecting them as well.
He's protecting them. And I'm just want to protect all of them. I guess it's like being a big dad, you know, your kids are just getting upset. And the manager's older than me, but I care about him genuinely. So, you know, I hope, I guess Wednesday, I said last night, it's kind of winner takes all. We'll find out a lot on Wednesday where we're heading. You know, the pessimist in me would say you lose, that's it. You're going down. The optimist would say if you win, great. Hopefully it's not a false dawn. You're going to go win again on Saturday. And the agony and the ecstasy continues, you know. So it kind of like that on Wednesday. It's all or nothing, I guess.
Well, football's a roller coaster. You know, we talk about it all the time, and you know the cyclical nature as well of.
You watch it from the outside. What do you think? I mean, give people an independent view of everything.
So,
and by the way, be critical of me if you have to be. Like, you know, be genuinely transparent, honest.
So, as an outsider, you know, I look at Peterborough United as a club that, I mean, we're obviously mid-table League Two. Sure. You aspire to have a plan. Yeah. And the fact that you feel there's a bigger picture, like everything is in service of something, as opposed to it's all about next week, it's all about next week, it's all about next week, and that's what you have. But then when you're losing every week, you lose sight of that, because really all that matters is 3 points on a Saturday. Yeah. I think that, you know, you went into the season, I don't know, do you feel like you underestimated the Championship?
No, no, and that's fair to say, because obviously people are going on about my comments about thrive, not survive, you know, all those things I said. No, I felt genuinely that if we could start really well and we could have a really, really good opportunity to do well and finish top 15. I didn't underestimate the Championship. Look, Phil, I'm doing the deals. I know how difficult. Someone asked me yesterday, an owner of a non-league club, that what was it like last time compared to now? It must be easier now. I'm like, no. It was actually easier to get players then, wages-wise, than it is now. The wages have gone right through the roof. Maybe there's more clubs have been in the Premier League since last time we were there. I think we're the only club in the Champ that's never been in the Premier League. Everyone else has. I think someone can correct me, but I got the idea in the summer how difficult it was to try and get players to Peterborough. The wage gaps were just massive. You look at the physicality. Look, were we underprepared? Look, things could have gone better in the summer. But when you look at some of the things that have happened now, I mean, of course we've let ourselves down, and that includes me. But I look at like January, you know, 9 left backs or whatever said no. It's just, you know, again, even if we had 2-3 million to spend in January, I'd be like Brewster's Millions, that movie where he has to spend 100 million in 30 days or whatever else. I wouldn't have been able to spend the money. You know, it's just really, really difficult. And I do feel like I have this privileged position of like, you know, yes, an outsider, but also I know what you're trying to achieve and also the setbacks. Yeah. And that I think as a fan, you don't necessarily understand. You know, you may not be signing someone because they were your first choice. And I hate to say that for, you know, players that may be listening. But
a lot of the things you want to do don't necessarily come off because of the
Correct.
financials, and the gap just gets bigger the further up the leagues you go. So the gap between what the top and the bottom of the Championship can offer is far wider than what the top of League One and the bottom of League One will offer.
Massive.
And so you have all the best will in the world, but ultimately, if as a football club you don't have the money to, or you're not willing to kind of break the philosophy that you built, right?
Mortgage the club.
Because I've seen what happens when a club mortgages themselves, and we went into administration twice in 4 years and ended up going from the Premier League to League Two.
I'm not doing that.
And we've never recovered.
No, correct. You've been paying those sins for years. You had your bounce, then you came down again. You've been paying those sins all for a long time.
Right.
And no, I don't want to be the guy. I don't want my legacy to be that.
Right.
If people want to say my legacy was couldn't quite cut it in the champ,
Yeah.
but won promotions and did whatever else, okay, fine. But I don't want the legacy to be, he took Peterborough to administration. He took Peterborough out of the league. I don't want it to be that way. So it's a fine line. But I'm okay with the criticism. As long as the criticism is respectful.
Yeah.
And it's done in a way that's constructive. When it's just, well, you should fire the manager and they're all the stats where you're the worst team in England. And I'm going to retweet this and send this because I might get like fucking 10 new followers, or I might become fucking relevant when I haven't been relevant for a while.
Right.
None of that sways well with me. You know what I mean? When you want to dig out a manager, when you want to basically do whatever, again, it doesn't sit well with me. Not a manager who's been brilliant for our football club.
Right.
Who's part of our fabric, part of our foundation, part of our family. And of course he can get criticised for a 4-0 drubbing, or for losing a game, or for being tactically stupid in one game, or for not bringing subs on in a game. Whatever. You want to criticise, football managers deal with that all the time. But like, to boo a manager, to constantly say you're getting sacked in the morning, if any of that stuff's going on, it's not right. It's not right for a manager who's done what he's done for our club. And he'll be the lowest paid manager in the Championship.
Right.
Like, with all due respect. You know what I mean? So he's not at Peterborough for the money. He's at it because he loves the club. He's at it because he believes in the project. He's at it because he believes in me. He believes in my partners. So it's tough at the moment.
I think as a non-fan, but obviously I feel vested as well because I want you to succeed.
Of course.
But it's easy to see that, well, the worst happens, you get relegated.
Yeah.
It's part of a journey. You become stronger. You come back stronger because you've got all the infrastructure that you're putting into place. And so you take that big picture. You take the Luton chart and you look and plot it for you, and you say, well, that was kind of a down, but that was part of the journey, and then we succeeded.
Yeah.
You start the season next year. Who would you want in charge as your manager? And that's Darren Ferguson.
Yeah, he's the only person I'd want. So, but like I said to you, I might not be able to have that,
right?
Because if he calls time,
yeah.
You know what I mean, or if I'm not here anymore, whatever. My partners love him, so I believe even if I wasn't here, he would definitely be their manager, and I still want to be here. So at the end of the day, I'm not one of those people who wants to quit and run when the going gets tough. I mean, Jesus, I've seen all the ups and downs, but you're right. If you're in League One, who do you want? Who's going to play the football? Who's going to score the goals? These young players we've got bubbling and simmering at the surface are going to be fantastic players. Who's going to bring them through? Because I'll tell you right now, some of the names that get thrown at you, they ain't going to give them a second look.
No.
They're going to want to bring in 19 new players from areas that have never done well for us. It's just going to be a shit show for
because it's
years.
all about the now. Like most managers, it's all about the now. And
absolutely.
And maybe it's not for Darren because there's this bigger picture, but that's almost his detriment too.
Absolutely.
Because he is thinking big picture, and he's not going and signing somebody to break the bank who he thinks is going to get him a few points, who's going to keep you up, and then just kick the can down the road to the summer.
I agree. And another way I'll show you how much he thinks of the club. He lost his number 2, and I was very like, you got to bring in a good number 2.
Yeah.
You got to bring someone into, and he didn't want to do that. He wanted to instead promote from our 23s and our 18s, because he believes we've got some of the best young coaches in the country, and he's right about that. And he wanted to step them up. And that's at some stage, that's a risk to take. And that's not a dig at our coaches, because I think they've got unbelievable futures in the game. But a lot of other managers would have gone, no, I want a number 2 that's experienced. I'm going to go and get that guy. I'm going to go get that guy. And forget about the 23 coach. Forget about the 18 coach. This is who I want. I'm not thinking of the club. He went the other way. He's thinking of them to help their career. And God knows they're having a tough time at the moment, because this is all new to them, God bless them. And he thought of the club. And I like that as a manager, that he's thought of our structure of a football club. Forget about results, forget about the Championship. This is right for the club.
Yeah.
Now, I like that. Maybe some fans like that, and some probably fucking hate that. But again, And this isn't me defending Darren Ferguson. He doesn't need me defending him. At the end of the day, his record will speak for itself when he's finished the game, with his promotions, his success with us. People want to talk about his win rate in the Championship. I mean, fucking give over, will you? You know, he's managed us and Preston. You know, Preston at the time weren't in good shape. You know, it was a short period. We at the time, obviously, you know, lowest budget in the Championship. I mean, do me a fucking favour. I mean, with all due respect, he didn't get handed a big club. He didn't get a job like some people have got in the Championship.
Yeah.
They didn't fucking deserve it. You're going to naturally win 40% of your games because it's that size club, you know. Do fans expect more than a 25-30% win rate in the Champ for a club our size? Oh, I'm not sure that's always possible. So it's a tough game.
Yeah. So now it's just all come together and try and be as, you know, as one as exactly as possible.
All I can do is give them my support. All I can do is hope that, you know, the players find a way. And Wednesday, it's all about it, you know. So if it's like last Wednesday, you know, wow, I guess I'm calling time on it, you know, and not on him. I mean, just the season, you know. If it's like last Wednesday, so we'll see. So forget about Peterborough United. And just a quick thing for the fans, because they don't get enough credit. There are a mass amount of fans who are very supportive. Yeah. I get emails every day. I get messages on Facebook, Instagram from fans who are brilliant fans who, no matter what's going on, love the club, love everything we do, love Darren, are worried about Darren, worried about the club. And so sometimes the podcast can give it the idea that it's all the fans are against the club. They're all against the man. They're not. Our fans are amazing. You know, they're spending money, they're buying tickets, they're coming and watching us, getting the 100 that went to Cardiff last week, God bless them. You know, they're showing up. Yeah. So I don't want the podcast to be a snapshot of, everything at Peterborough United is toxic.
Yeah, it's us against the world.
It's not. The mass majority of our fans are always with us. Do you know what I mean? And they're showing it, you know, and we're doing all these initiatives at the moment. You know, we're obviously doing a bond. We're looking at doing for spending money in the stadium, all these things. That's not, again, trying to take advantage of fans. These are initiatives for fans to make money and be part of the process. Do you know what I mean? And we'll talk about that, you know what I mean, another time. But that's why we're doing it. So the cup fiasco, again, shit show, apologise. Hopefully we fixed it. Some people are still not happy. I get it. But we have to make money from the cup. And, you know, having Man City beating us 28-0, you know what I mean? Hopefully you're going to enjoy that ticket. I'm only joking.
Hey, I've watched remotely Bradford beating Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. And we're going to carry on talking about that till the cows come home, probably. So never give out complete hope.
Listen, I agree with you. My run in the Cups has never been great, you know, as an owner of Peterborough United. So enough about the Posh. Let's talk Bradford.
Yeah.
I was happy last week. You had the midweek win away at Stevenage.
Yeah.
And then obviously what I saw was Exeter beat you on Saturday. It was good. Mind you, Exeter are a good team. So what news have you got?
You know, it's unfortunately, you know, time for Derek to move on. You know,
you sound like all those commentators about Posh.
I know. This is joking. You know, and don't think it's lost on me where we talked about, you know, supporting Darren. And you know, honestly, to me, that's one of the big differences is, you know, you have everybody. I get the feeling that everybody wants Darren to succeed at Posh. You got to the point at City where everyone's waiting for Derek to fail.
Darren's not attacking the club or the ownership. I mean, is it fair to say Derek's been attacking the club ownership? Yeah,
so he's been putting out in the press, you know, for the last few weeks now around one time I didn't have the support that I needed from the club, and then, you know, comes out a few days later, I really do have everything I need from the club. You know, he's talked about the fans being destructive and you know, not being supportive and how that doesn't help. And, you know, I've done this at Morecambe, I've done this at Plymouth. He came out at the weekend and said that if they were to sack me, they would get no other manager that's as good as I am.
Is he right?
I don't think so. I mean, you're only as good as your last job.
Correct.
And it's not going too well at City.
Is he out?
He's out. So
he's being fired?
He's been sacked, which I think was an inevitability, unfortunately.
So you've got the scoop. He's out. He's done.
Yeah.
Let's hope by the time the podcast is out, that does actually happen.
So
what's the plan?
The plan now is Mark Truman in charge.
Okay.
Mark Truman was the guy who was...
He was part of the joint management team?
Yeah, he was. That came in at the end of, mid last season, really saved... I mean, we were going to oblivion at that point. So he really turned things around. We went on a great run. Probably didn't have... It kind of petered out for him because, you know, he's thrown into this job. he did fantastic. I think the tactics got found out. Wasn't really sure where to go from there.
Sure.
But
he stayed at the club.
He stayed at the club. So he stayed as like the link coach. So he was initially given a job as being the link between the youth, which is where he'd come from, and the first team where he'd just played for a little while. And then when Derek came in, he gave him his assistant manager job. Okay. So
is he going to stay there at the end of the season, or are you getting a new manager?
I don't know. I think it's all going to be. I think it's up to Mark in some regards. Like, how does Mark do as a caretaker? I think he deserves that shot again. See what he's learned from last time. He'll have 2 or 3 games, and if we win those 2 or 3 games, then carry on.
Hey,
and if you don't,
if my beloved manager decides to jack it in, you've got a double promotion winner from League 2 and League 1. Don't fuck around. I'm only joking. I'm not joking, by the way.
I'm not sure he'd want to come down to League 2.
Listen, a club that size, you guys talk yourselves down sometimes. You know what I mean? I mean, Bradford in League 2 is only temporary. So at the end of the day, that's just, I've said to you before, Steve Evans is your man. Get him in there, you'd be in the champ in 3 years. But same if my manager was unemployed. When Darren was unemployed, I told Notts County to hire him. I told, it was Alan Hardy at the time, so many clubs I said, fucking get him. Like, he did it with Donny, he did it with us. Big club in League 2, we'll fucking take him back to back. Yeah. So, there's only a matter of time before the afterburners get put on at your club. I know it's just, we've been speaking this podcast for 2.5 years or whatever, and it's
not happened yet. But
it's not happened yet.
It's getting there.
But it's going to happen.
Because
it's going to happen.
You need the infrastructure again, which is being put in place.
You do. It's going to happen. So who is, if Mark loses his first 3 games, I guess you need a manager. Yeah. Who would be your choice as manager right now in the football landscape? Who are you getting?
Well, you'll laugh at me because he's not going to be available, but somebody like Grant
McCann.
Yeah,
absolutely. Why is he not available?
Again, I'm talking myself down probably here.
Yeah, why is he not available?
You think, why would Grant come to a League 2
Are you joking me?
club?
It's a massive club. At the end of the day, it depends how ambitious the owner wants to be. If you want Grant McCann, it's not going to be cheap, but you have to. If I own a Bradford and I sat with a Grant McCann or a Darren Ferguson, it has to be the project.
Yeah.
It can't be about, right, I want you to come in, I want you to win some games to the end of League 2. It's not that, it's the project. Here is the project. We got 15 games left in League 2 this year. We ain't going up, we ain't going down. If we win all 15 by a miracle and we hit the playoffs, great. But here's the project. I got 20 players out of contract in the summer. I want this changed, that changed. I want us to recruit this way. I want us to put together a squad with a nice blend that's going to go back to back.
Yeah.
That is my project aim. Yeah. Now, if you do it in 3 years, okay, fine. Back to back, ideally. I want a League 2 title and I want a League 1 title.
Yeah.
I want to do 2 titles. Bradford haven't done that for a while. Let's give those 20,000 fans 2 big trophies to celebrate. How are we going to do it? Let's put together the plan. Let's start working on players now that we want to get in the summer. Players that we want to move on, and we're probably going to have to give this whole place a facelift.
Yeah.
And I want our theme to be at this football club fucking goals.
Yeah.
Goals, and more goals. Because you got 15,000 fans already come, and they ain't getting goals.
Yeah.
Now I want 20 in the fucking building, enjoying goals.
Yeah.
They might have to pay a few quid more, but they're going to get their money's worth.
Yeah.
Now, Posh fans will be listening, going, "Fuck me! Have you seen our football in the Championship?" Okay, hang on, different level. My favourite thing every year when we were in League 2 and League 1 was, what are my goals for the season? 120 goals. Golden Boot winner, 3 in the team league, team of the year, league title, and hopefully an EFL trophy.
Yeah.
Has to be your aims when you're in League 2 and League 1. Club Bradford's fucking size. Jesus, I'll be up on all those aims. I won quarterfinals of the League Cup, last 16 of the FA Cup.
And instead, here we are, thankful for winning 1-0 at Stevenage.
Yes,
again, no due respect to Stevenage.
It's a moment in time at the moment for your club. So there's all of that. But eventually the beast will rise.
Yeah.
Eventually it will be, we're taking over Stevenage when we bring our fan base and we're going there to win 5-0. That's the mindset. And it's not an arrogant mindset. We're the biggest team in this fucking league and we're going to bury everyone in this league and win it by 10 points. Now, that's not arrogance. That's going to be fact. And we have to back it up. I was like that with Posh in League 2. Where it was like, nah, we're the big boys in this league now. Our gates might not say so, but we're coming for this league. We're coming on a run. And you're not going to see us come until January. That's when we come. Because January to May is like money time. Yeah. And when it happens, it's going to be 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. I remember
it's like steamrolling everyone out.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to have the players and personnel who are going to click into gear, and it'll be a fucking go. It'll be a jizz fest of goals. So look, it is what it is at the moment. So you want Grant McCann?
I think that when I look out there,
would Grant McCann want to go there right now?
Well, that's my question.
You want me to ring him for you?
Sure. See if he can put his name in. I think. Well, the question I have for you is, if you're looking at this, are you looking and saying, let's get somebody in who will give us a go to the end of the season, then
I'm looking at right now changing everything.
Yeah.
Right now I'm going, if I own Bradford, I'm going 3 people. It's McCann, Ferguson, and then there'd be one other manager I'd look at. And they'd be the three. They'd be my targets. Do you know what I mean?
Now, somebody we've talked about on the pod before who at that time was employed by Newport is Michael Flynn.
I knew you were going to say Flinney.
So it's kind of an interesting one because his style of play isn't necessarily the goals.
I want the style.
And I wonder if actually what Newport have achieved without him is actually to his detriment from his reputation perspective, because Newport have shown that it wasn't all because of Michael Flynn.
Michael Flynn, yeah.
I mean, he did a fantastic job.
Listen, I think he played a big part in it.
Yeah.
But I think Newport's a really well-run football club. You know what I mean? Who else? Who's punching above their weight in League One that you think, a bit like what happened with Derek with Morecambe, and you thought he was like, I always question the Derek thing because of the style.
Yeah.
You know, and the type. And I know people say, well, that's ironic because you're saying hire Steve Evans. I think there's more to Steve than Derek, if I'm honest. And I think there's a lot more passion in Steve Evans. So who in League One would you look at and go, you know what, they're overachieving there.
Yeah.
We're going to have them.
I haven't really thought about it, to be honest, so
A club
far.
your size should. You should be paying release fees for managers.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way it should go. So
now, having done that and being burned,
sure,
do you go to the same, how do you go about your recruitment having gone through a process and it not worked out?
Sure. Well, look, you went through that with Derek, and did you pay a fee for Derek or whatever else? That's your choice. I did it. I paid a fee for Steve Evans. You know, you identify the right person, and if there's a fee, there's a fee. If there's not, you're lucky, and you do your best. I think first you start with the right person. Who's the right person?
Right.
And I think, you know, again, you have to have a plan. It can't be a 6-month plan or a 1-year plan.
Yeah.
It has to be a proper fucking plan, and you have to get behind that right person. And then you have to ignite the fans to get behind them as well. And that person needs to be a little bit charismatic.
Yeah.
They need to carry a little bit of je ne sais quoi about them.
Well, you need somebody who wants to, that the fans want to get behind.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the big learnings from
Absolutely.
Derek, is that the fans didn't warm to him whatsoever. And that's okay if you're winning, kind of.
Sure.
But if you're not, I mean, you put yourself on this island.
You go that way. You go after and you try and recruit some of the best. Or you go another route and you drop into the pool of non-league. You know, do you go after the Bournemouth manager? You know, who's had 19, 20 clean sheets, who seems to inspire.
A Halifax down the road from us who are doing really well.
Phenomenal. Do you go down that route? Do you take a punt on that? And it's like, it's risky, but is that the right thing to do? So there's always a flavour of managers doing well. Or do you go tried and tested? Do you try and get Lee Johnson? Do you try and get, you know... But
you've gone like when you did with Darren,
sure.
And I think Grant the first time you went with the untested.
I did.
Because
I saw greatness in them.
Right.
And people always go, you sat McCann. I said, yeah, but I saw greatness in him. And I was right. You know, he just didn't have the right number twos.
Yeah.
I always knew he needed a strong number two. And the guy we went after, he got after he left us because he left Sunderland. So, you know, I saw greatness in Grant like I saw it in Darren. You know, and people slag off my appointments of managers, but if you start going through them and what they've done all right. You know what I mean? Whether it be Gary Johnson, you know, whether it be Steve Evans, whether, you know, they've all done all right. Mark Cooper even, you know, they've done really well. But I did see greatness in them, and sometimes, you know, when you see greatness in somebody, you have to give them all the tools that they need around them.
Yeah.
You know, like Darren, when he first came in, had Kevin Rooster. He was his coach at Wrexham. So it was like kind of like
that's a
worked
blast
really well.
from the past. I remember him
Rooster
playing
was
back in the day.
fantastic, you know, but he was great for a young manager.
Yeah.
You know, he was just the right blend of number two. Grant didn't have that when he started with us. Do you know what I mean? So you need the right team together. But, you know, look, whoever gets that, it's an exciting job.
Yeah.
It's an exciting job. Do you know what I mean? So how do you think the owner's feeling right now? Because obviously Ryan's convinced him to go and spend money on Derek. Is Ryan in the shit?
I don't think so. I think that it would.
Should he be in the shit? And I know Ryan's going to hate me saying that, but obviously you have to be transparent. I like Ryan. Like, you know, has he made a bad call here with Derek?
No, because I don't think anyone would have said when he hired Derek. I think everyone was very happy about hiring him.
Yeah. Were you happy?
Yeah, I mean, we felt like we needed someone who's been there, done it before, maybe had that nasty streak about them, because we just had been puttering along and not really going anywhere. So I don't think that I think it would have been worse for Ryan if he'd have held on.
Was it Ryan's idea to fire him or the owner?
I think that it's on Ryan.
Okay.
You know, I think that Ryan...
Well, he's having a hard time at the moment. So, you know, he's young. This is always going to happen in football. Yeah. And I'm sure he'll come out the other side of it. It'll make him a better CEO. So,
yeah, I mean, I think that the owner gives Ryan the autonomy to make the decisions.
Absolutely.
And yes, he'll have the final veto, if you will.
Correct.
But I don't believe that, you know, I think that it will be Ryan that came to the table and said, look, this ain't working.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
we'll speak to him in a few months. We'll give him a bit of a rest from the pod and give him a few months, and then speak to him towards the summer and see where his head's at, and to look back on unhappier times and what was going on in the camp and what was he feeling and whatever else. But I'm sure he's learned a lot this year.
Yeah, I'm sure, because I don't want to be seen as being somebody who's being overly supportive or anything like that, but I think that the things that are going on behind the scenes at the club from an infrastructure perspective, he's doing the stuff to generate the money to bring into the wages that he needs to, because it's got to be self-sustaining.
Yeah, the owner's not putting money in, right? So it's running itself. It's kind of wiping its own nose.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a really strong budget, and that's on the manager.
Which you should with a crowd base like that.
Right.
How many fans were at the last home game?
Well, how many were there versus how many is the official attendance are kind of two different things at the moment.
Was there a drop-off?
Oh, yeah. Oof. I mean, at the Exeter, it's harder to tell. There was a midweek game a couple of weeks ago, Crawley, I think it was. They looked no more than 8,000 in there. Now, I don't know what the official attendance was, but it's typically been 14, 15. So he'd lost the fans.
Fuck. Right.
And once you see that, it's not just the folks complaining on Twitter about it. It's,
forget social media. You know what I mean? It's like, it's such a toxic fucking place.
My family, who've been going week in, week out
they stopped going
for years, just they just don't have that. It's like
desire to go.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was inevitable.
Jeez, tough times for our clubs at the moment.
Yeah, and it's hard because you go in and you say, look, this time it's going to be different. This time I want to go and have a 3-year plan and exactly the things that you're talking about. But you can't just let that happen. Let that continue if it's like you have to cut and run.
Would you as a Bradford fan take what we have at the moment at Peterborough?
Oh, every day of the week.
Maybe tell us some of our unhappier fans.
Yeah, because if the worst happens and you're in League One, then you still have a strong side.
Yeah.
You got a manager who I think the vast majority of the fans support.
Yeah.
You have a really good youth setup where you've got your own players who are coming through. I mean, I think sometimes people got to take a step back. Yeah. And I'm not just saying this because you sat opposite me.
Sure.
I just think that you're the envy of what a lot of League One and League Two clubs are.
Right.
But you obviously, results are what drives people's emotions.
Of course.
And you never want to get relegated.
It's the memory. What have you done for me lately?
And also, like last time, because it took you 8 years.
Of course.
Is it, it's going to take us another 8 years to get back again?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I'd say to the fans that before that, it took us 1 year. We went down before that and came back 9 months later. So, there were extenuating circumstances 8 years ago. That was a hangover of what happened that lasted a long time. It's not the same. I mean, we've been kicked out of this league by being fucking awful.
Right.
And 9 months later, we fucking destroyed League One and went up via the playoffs. So, it's not all doom and gloom. Do you know what I mean? So, lessons are learned. People will say, we didn't fucking learn any lessons this time. I'll say, well, no, the landscape had changed getting into that championship. The goals that you needed, it was very, very different to last time, So, here's what it is. Look, I get it. We're in an industry and a game where winning is all that matters to lots of people.
Yeah.
And then for some people, it's not actually about winning. It's about being able to take their families to games and enjoying the experience. And what I don't want is a negative experience where the atmosphere is toxic. So it's kind of like one of them.
It's really interesting how that changes as you get older as well, isn't it? So, when you go in your teens and your 20s and it's just all about winning. And then now for me, I feel like...
taking your children.
Yeah, I want a club that I can...
Be proud of.
That I feel I can connect with.
Yeah.
That has a soul.
Absolutely. I'm brokenhearted hearing about some of the mums who've told me that they feel unsafe with their kids at the moment in some of the areas of our stadium where it's so toxic. The younger fan base is so aggressive and so toxic. And I get like a big gulp when I hear that because I'm a dad.
Yeah.
And I don't want anyone with kids to feel unsafe or not enjoy.
And you've put so much into being a family club, right? Haven't you?
It breaks my heart. So it's like, I'm going to talk to the guys at the club the next 2 weeks that we've got to start clearing out some of this fucking nonsense going on that are making families feel uncomfortable because that's win, lose or draw. Unforgivable. Can't fucking happen. And on that note,
all right,
that's it for this week.
Yeah.
For those of you out there who still listen, thank you. We love you. For those of you who still have confidence in Bradford and Peterborough, we love you. For those of you coming at us with toxicity and everything else, we love you anyway. So we're still here. We're still standing as it is. Have a great week, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.